And we are live. And there's nobody here.
Probably a nice day everywhere.
Maybe. And there's nobody here. It says 0.
See, okay.
What? Oh, fine. Well, right now we have nobody online. Oh, one watching. That might be me. Hello, anybody? If there's anybody out there. We may be doing this one on our own.
It may be too nice of a day.
Maybe. Well, we'll see who comes on here. It says there's 2, but I think one of those is me. You're not on yet. Well, hello, whoever's out there. Danna's here. So, Danna, aren't you doing the virtual?
Oh, wait a minute. I don't know why I don't have your vlog.
I'm doing it all. Oh, you're doing it all, are you? Yeah.
I don't see the live. That's
Me
the
too.
problem.
Well, you should be able to see the live. Refresh your screen. Well, go to your library. What have you got? I don't know.
Plan designs.
Yeah, okay. There.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're on. Oh, yeah, it's only 2 p.m. there. That's right, I forgot. Yeah, 4 here. So, are you enjoying the virtual retreat, Danna?
Isn't it Dana?
Well, I think it's pronounced as Danna.
Oh, okay.
Danna, your name. Is it Dana or Danna? I say it's Danna, because that's, I'm sure, how Kim always refers to you. So, just answer. I know I can't hear you. If it's Danna, say yes. Yeah, I know. That's the way I feel about it too, Danna. That we can't see everybody. I'm not fond of the chat setting, and we'll have to bring that. Yes, like Danielle. See, Danna. Okay. Yeah, because I think we'll maybe when we get onto the live at 4 o'clock your time, 6 o'clock my time, we're all supposedly going to be able to see each other then at that. Maybe we should bring that up to Kim and say, because to be honest, I mean, I think she's doing it because she doesn't want people talking over top of each other, you know how it can get if it's not controlled. And she did have special guests on, so that's good. That was fine. But it didn't feel like a retreat, because at a retreat, there's all kinds of people, and you're talking, and, you know, it was difficult to even make a comment. At least I found it difficult, because I would have had to physically get up from my sewing machine and go over to where my computer is located. And I couldn't sew and chat at the same time in that mode. That was the thing. If it had been, you know, with what we usually do on our lives, or when we do the Zoom meetings, yeah, it wouldn't have been a problem because I don't have to type. I can listen, I can look up, see my computer screen or my television monitor where I have it projected onto, and continue to sew. So I'm sure Kim had a reason for that. I'm sure she must have thought about that. I think probably she felt maybe it would have caused too many problems when she had her guest speakers come on. I don't know, either that or maybe she was worried that with that number of people that it might go down or something. Although Zoom is supposed to be able to handle like over 100 people at one time. But I don't know. Oh yeah, it's just her first one. I'm sure, and I have a feeling probably that's what she'll want to discuss too. What can we do differently the next time we do one? Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing her for this. I was just saying, I would have liked it better if we could have spent part of the time when we were in the chat mode, like actually seeing everybody and doing it the way we usually do a Zoom meeting. But anyways, I'm sure she'll give us reasons why she did it that way. I'm sure she's thought about it. So, who else is here?
Maybe nobody likes the topic.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it scared them off. Put the word death in there. I don't know. Because we've got like 3.
I think it's you and me.
I think it's me and Danna. I don't know. Maybe we pissed people off last week. They don't like us anymore. So, anyways. So besides that, are you getting a lot done, Danna, on the retreat? I've been working most of the weekend on a new quilt, and I didn't really realize it was going to involve like over 300 half square triangles. So that's what I've been working on most of the weekend with that. And I found that the speakers she had were really interesting. That lady with the fabric store yesterday and that one today from Las Vegas. And do you remember what they called her YouTube channel? Something with womb in it, but I couldn't remember. Still working on the wedding quilt, are you? Well, you'll get it done. Well, this is very strange today.
Yeah, it is.
Very strange.
Don't like your topic.
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I scared a lot of people away. Well, anyways, let's just talk. We've got Danna here, so we can just go on with it. So, update on my mother. Oh, yeah, Danna, I was just going to talk about her. Yeah, she's fine, and so far the nursing home is still virus-free. They started a Facebook page this week. Only it's a closed group. It's only for people who have relatives there in the in the nursing home. Got the hiccups. My mother wasn't too thrilled because I guess they went around and had them hold up little signs and they took their picture and they posted this on the Facebook. And whoa, yeah, they're scary pictures. They really are. And my mother, well, she definitely needs to have her hair done. There's no two ways about that. It's getting long. My mother's always had relatively short hair. Of course, she's always had it coiffed, except since she got it in the nursing home, they give her a perm and, well, it kind of still looks like a mop, but it looks better than what she's got right now. But anyways, it's kind of good that they're doing that. The idea is to allow. It's not so much for the residents as much as it's for the people outside, because I guess a lot of people are getting uptight about the fact they can't go in and visit, their relatives. But we all know the reasons why. So, and you say your mom's still with your middle sister after 8 weeks. Is your sister crazy yet? I mean, that's probably, no matter how much you care for your mother, I mean, 8 weeks in close
Steve's
confines.
mom is pretty much reliant on Cheryl.
Oh, Anita's here. Hi, Anita.
Yeah, Steve's mom is pretty much reliant on everything, toileting and everything.
Yeah,
so.
we could not, even if we wanted to take her out of the nursing home and bring her here, we couldn't, because we could not look after her. And she's in the best place she possibly could be in, given, the scare at all these other homes you hear about. But like I said, they've been doing a really, really good job. Can't say too much about them over there. It's amazing what they've been able to do. My next sister from me is going to get my mom next week. Oh, okay. So, Danna, she's not in a home then? Who looks
His
after her?
mom's senior home is virus free too, so it sounds like you took her mom out. So,
Oh, so you took your mom out then? Yes, Anita, but with the number of people that are on here right now, I have a feeling I scared people away with that title. So, anyways, yep, she's okay. And one thing that really pissed me off, though, this week, I got a phone call earlier in the week. It was from one of our funeral homes, funeral service place. Now, this same guy that I've talked to before, back 6 years ago, it's been 6 years, April 30th, that my father passed away.
Didn't he call you like April 30th?
No, I don't think he phoned on that day. That's a good question. Even more inappropriate.
Because I was thinking about it at the time, and I thought, isn't that around when your dad passed away? I couldn't remember exactly what day he called on.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure now either. But come to think of it, could have been. I didn't even think about it at the time. Well, he was pissing me right off. So this guy from this funeral place where we had my father's, service and everything like that, 6 years ago, he's called me a couple of times. What are you doing?
I'm just checking where
Okay. It says Arbor. Anyways, Walter's checking to see what day it was he called by looking at the past calls on the phone. So anyways, he...
April 29th.
Oh, so the day before. So this guy calls the day before the anniversary of my father's passing. And he has called me a couple of times before over the last few months, trying to get us to do a pre-packaged thing, because of my mother. And I have told him, the first time he called, I said, because we had dealt with them before and blah, blah, blah. And, he's trying to give me this, like a used car salesman type of sale. Funeral costs are going up. The government only gives you like $2,500 or whatever towards it, blah, blah, blah. And funerals cost,
I know everybody's piling on all of a sudden.
Oh, okay, everybody's there now. Hi, Mel. Hi, Laura. Everybody's coming on at once. Hi, Andy. So anyways, just talking about this phone call that we got for those of you who just arrived. So he called a second time a couple of months later, wanting to know if I'd spoken to my mother yet about pre-planning her funeral. And I said, no, it has not been an appropriate moment for it, and my mother's not on the deathbed, kind of a thing to him. I mean, I was still trying to be polite, but try to get across to him I'm not interested in right now. So he calls this week, and he phoned just to let me know that there won't be any, the cemetery won't be open for visitation on Mother's Day for anybody to go over. Well, first of all, none of my relatives are in that cemetery. Walter's parents are, and his one sister, but none of my family are in there because my father, we had a family plot in the little town that's about an hour and a half east of us that has been in our family for several generations. My great-grandfather bought the plots, and there was room in that plot for my father and for my mother. No place for me. But that's okay, because I don't plan to be going there. But anyways, that's where I had my father's urn placed, was there. And that's where my mother will go eventually too. In fact, this is a little morbid, but my mother's name is on the gravestone already, on the stone. It's a family plot, so my great-grandparents, my grandparents, my uncle are there, and it's a big monument kind of a thing. Well, Dad's name is now on it, of course, and the dates. And at the time, the engravers suggested that basically, since there's one plot left for my mother next to my dad, that, we put her name on it and her birth year and just leave the rest blank. And I asked my mother about it at the time, and she said, yeah, she thought that was probably something we should do. So we did. But I've never discussed with my mother, about prepaying for a funeral. Now, I have thought about it, and I know what we're going to be doing at the time of, but they're just trying to get money up front. Am I great?
And Anita's just put a thing up here that says you don't know if the funeral home is still in business if you prepay.
Exactly. Not only that, but they try to tell you that, oh yeah, you pay now because you'll get it at the price of today, and 10 years down the road it could be a lot higher. Well, no. Part of that you can have worked in that price is never going to change. Like, or that's what they tell you. Well, the price will be the same now, though, if you pay for it now, but in 10 years time it'll be what you paid for it. There's nothing extra. My grandmother had prepaid for her funeral. When my uncle came to make the arrangements after she passed away, they were trying to settle him with a bill for a lot of extra other things, and my uncle was smart enough, though. He said, oh no, this whole thing's been prepaid, it's right there. And they tried to talk him into paying more money for nothing, well, things have gone up. And he says, yes, that was why it was prepaid, to avoid that kind of a thing. So I say to the guy on the phone, so he tells me this. I says, okay, fine. He says, have you spoken to your mother yet? Have you figured that out, what you're going to do? And I said, it's really not an appropriate time to be discussing that kind of thing with my mother. She's in a nursing home. Oh, he says, I thought she was in a retirement residence. He says, no, she's in a nursing home. Oh, sorry to hear that. Didn't even take a breath, but why not? Blah, 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 blah. And I was getting really pissed off, but I held my temper and I said, well, you know something? I said, thank you for your call. But I said, at this point in time, we're not interested in doing any pre-planning or whatever. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And I said to him, and I don't need any more phone calls from you. We know where you're located and we know what your services are. And so when the time comes and we need your services, we'll give you a call. In other words, we'll call you, don't call us. Oh, well, I'll give you my number. And I said, you gave me your number the last 2 times you've called me.
Well, they're on commission. That's
yeah.
Why.
And that's how I said it. In other words, screw off. Get out of my face. Oh, okay. I said, so thanks very much for your call. You have a good weekend. Stay safe. Goodbye. Hung up at that point. If he calls me again, I'm not going to be as nice at all. In fact, I'm going to tell him. I compare him to a used car salesman.
Well,
basically.
not only that, you don't have to necessarily go with them.
Well, no. I'm under no obligation to deal with them. We dealt with them because they're local and, there's other ones. In fact, there's a lot of competition in our area for this kind of thing. So, let's have a bidding war on death. Yeah, really. So I was a little ticked off about that. I didn't bother mentioning any of this to my mother, of course, because, don't want to upset her about anything. But, I just thought the gall. And right now, in the middle of all of this, in this crisis, I don't think the funeral business is going to go out of business anytime soon. So, why do they have to, like an insurance salesman or something?
Try and nail you with all kinds of extras at the time you have to do a funeral or planning a funeral at the time of death.
Oh yeah, well,
like they try and if you try and buy a cheaper casket, they try and upsell you a bigger casket or one won't rot for like 50,000 years or something like that.
Like I know when I went through it for my father, Walter had already been through this stuff before me. So when the time came and I had to make the arrangements, my sister and I went and did the arrangements, but we were both on the same page because we discussed beforehand, and we knew exactly what my father wanted, what my mother wanted, which was even more important at the time. And so, of course, they tried to upscale us on the box. And I said, my father's being cremated and we're not having any visitations. We do not need to put out a whole lot of money on something, I said, that no one's going to see. And my father certainly doesn't care. And so we got the cheapest box, okay? And then it came to the urn. Well, we got a nice urn because we were going to have a memorial service for one thing. And, they tried to upscale me on that. They tried to upscale us on the flowers. Luckily, my sister was working for a florist at the time and had for quite a while, knew all the ins and outs about flowers. So I let her run with that, and we got a nice display and the whole thing with that. We didn't have any visitations. It was just nickel and dime you, pardon the pun, to death. So they weren't really pleased with us, but we got a decent service. Still, it was $10,000 for it. I mean, that's just the base price of almost any funeral today. But it's just, they try to play on your emotion, of course, and they play on the fact that right now you're gullible, and it's all about, first of all, funerals are not for the dead. Funerals are for the living. And I don't know about many of you, but I avoid funerals like the plague. I don't like them. Memorial services, I think, are the way to go on all these things today. I don't think there's any need, in my own personal opinion, maybe other people disagree with me, I think there's no, the open casket, visitation, all that stuff, I think there's no need for that.
Yeah, I know they keep trying to con you into, oh well, if you don't see the body before they're either cremated or buried, that you don't have closure. They keep saying this.
Yeah, that's what he kept saying.
My parents both passed away, and we never had an open casket or visitation or anything, and I've never had any issues with closure or anything like that.
And I have no issues with closure with my father's passing either. With it. In fact, they wanted me said that I had to come and identify the body. And Walter told me he died in a nursing home. He died in his sleep. It was simple as that. And Walter says they'll try to get you to do that. And I said, that's not the way I want to remember my father. I don't want it. The reason I say that is because I remember when I was much younger, and my first experience with funerals to somebody in the family, like my grandmother and my grandfather. I still can remember them laid out in the box. And that's a memory I don't want to have. So if that was to bring me closure, that never closed anything for me. That just opened up a whole other can of worms, I think. So no, I told them, no, I don't. Well, you're Scott. I says, why, are you saying there's a law for it? I knew there wasn't. Well, I said, because there isn't a law. You can do it. Well, yeah, we can do it. If you can just give us a picture. And I said, that's not a problem. I'll email it to you momentarily. But, it's all that kind of stuff. They want to charge you for everything. So, anyways, I was a little ticked off at this guy, this basically an ambulance chaser kind of mentality. Yeah, so anyways, that was a real thrill. But as I said, I didn't tell my mother. What are people saying? You know how to do you know that the funeral home would still be in business yeah, right. Another way they prey on families at the time of death is a monument or a marker for the grave. Yeah, well, as I said, that was not something we had to worry about. That was already done. If you have call displayed, don't answer his call. Yeah, well, it came up Arbor, and that's the name.
I kind of knew who it was right away when they said that.
No, I won't avoid his call because he'll just keep trying to call or leave messages and stuff. I'll confront them. I have no problem with that. But this time, as I said, if he doesn't get the point, and I get a call again from him sometime down the road, I will say, look, I asked you last time very politely not to call me again, that we would contact you if we needed your services. That still stands. And in fact, I'm thinking right now, because of your insistence upon calling me when I asked you very nicely not to, is to go with somebody else, not your company. And hang up on them.
I kind of realized you had a typo there, Anita, that you said 44,000, because you would jump from 10,000 to 44,000.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't see what Anita said here. We did not order it the same week as the funeral, which was in January. We went back in June, and the price of the marker quoted to us was 10,000 from the graveyard group. You got another estimate of the same marker for
4,000.
4,000, yeah. So my advice is don't order that on the same week as the funeral. Yeah, true.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to wait.
Yeah, wait a while. Let the ground settle.
And you can shop around too. You don't have to go for exactly what.
Yeah. And Danna, yeah, I mean, when you think, I think funerals are shifting. I think a lot of people are going more for the memorial.
In Canada, I've noticed an awful lot of people putting up lately that they're, ever since after my parents passed away and stuff, is that they've gone more for memorial services. And some are doing a lot where we did with my parents was a private family service.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a good idea too, because there were a lot of people came to my father's memorial. My father was very well liked, and they all came. In fact, they filled the chapel in the funeral home up. There was like standing room only. But like I said, funerals are not for the dead; they're for the living. And I don't like to go to other people's funerals. Like, you got this thing in our society where it's a sign of respect by going to somebody's parent dies or something like that. And there are those people who, and from the generation before us especially, where it was just expected you went to the funeral for whoever was gone, kind of a deal, respect for the family and the whole bit. Well, people come out of the woodwork at things like this. If you never came and visited my father, or if you never came to see whoever the person was while they were alive, then why are you showing up at the funeral? Really, send a card or something. I think in some cases, in that case, some people show up at the funerals because they don't want people to think bad of them because they didn't show up. When you're in a funeral situation, and you're standing in the reception line and people are coming in, and half of them, I'd have to look to somebody like my sister or something and say, okay, who's this? And some of them you had to figure out and you didn't know who the heck they were. So I mean, why are you there? Kind of a thing. For the free sandwiches afterwards? What? I don't know. I think you really need to rethink funerals.
For my dad, he passed away in 1993, and a lot of people got upset at work because they didn't. I said it was going to be a private family service. We weren't having anybody else there. Well, all these people at work wanted to go, but they knew me. They'd never seen my dad, right? And I didn't really want to go through having to shake everybody's hands type of thing and all this stuff. My parents just wanted something very private. So the only people that came were immediate family members, right?
Yeah. And
I liked that.
Yeah.
It worked good because I was going through enough stress at the time anyway that I didn't really need a lot of other people around me. And so I noticed a lot more people doing that rather than going through the elaborate funeral type thing. And for closure type thing, all my grandparents were in Holland. I never went to any one of their funerals. We got notice that one of the grandparents passed away, but in those days it was too expensive to fly back over and stuff like that. And my parents never went to the funerals either. So,
well, the other thing I don't like about attending a funeral is, what do you say? You walk and go,
I know,
I'm sorry for your loss. There isn't anything you can say that's going to make a lot of difference to somebody. It's like buying a sympathy card. Ever looked at them inside? They all say the same thing. Sorry for your loss, thinking of you, God bless you, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And, quite frankly, I don't know. There were cards sent to my mother when my father passed away. They had the condolence book, which, you never look at that thing afterwards. I have it. I'm not even sure where it is. Actually, I do know where it is, kind of a thing. Why? Like, I'm going to, I'm taking a list here, you're off my Christmas card list because you didn't come to my father's funeral. What? No. At the time, you're not thinking any of that, and after the time, and all you're thinking about is, let's get through this and get this damn thing over with. Hi, Bonnie. Mel says, my father died 35 years ago, and I didn't go to his funeral. His widow arranged his funeral day for my birthday. Wow, isn't that nice? Yeah, really. But anyways, yeah, how did we get on this? Well, because I was telling you about the ambulance chaser trying to call me for it. So anyways, let's turn to cheerier topics. Virus update. How's everybody coping? Oh my
It's a
God.
nice day out here today.
Yeah, for a
It's
change.
20 degrees, and up until now it's been half that temperature.
And that's just going to make quarantine just that much
But
harder.
tomorrow it's going back to 9.
Oh, well. In some ways, that doesn't bother me if it does go back to 9 because when the weather's nice, I'm looking out our patio doors right now and going, oh, it looks like summer out there. And we can't go anywhere. So, I don't know. Yeah, Laura says it's a beautiful day. Anita says, I'm doing great. Good to hear. Laura says she doesn't want to relive a hurt by reading sympathy cards and condolence books. Exactly. So yeah, we've been keeping busy. Danna and I are both on, actually at this moment, we're on a virtual retreat, quilting retreat through our quilting group online, The Quilter's Way. You've heard me talk about that before. So we were just talking before other people got on here that about how it's been arranged. It's all been done through like Zoom, but we're not on every minute of the time. I've taken a break away from the quilting retreat. Well, we're about to finish up the quilting retreat. After we're finished this broadcast, there's one more like on a Zoom meeting with the other people doing the retreat, and then it's over with. And it's been an interesting experience. And I've got a lot done. It's just that the quilt I decided to work on, I didn't realize it was going to be a whole lot of little pieces, so I'm a little tired of it already. But anyways, it's, this is the new world, right? We have to do everything virtually. Mel says, Bonnie says, Andy's doing fine. Great. Bonnie says, doing well. New Brunswick is COVID-free that we know of. That's good. We're not in Ontario yet. Yeah, we're not in Ontario. No. Mel says, we had some snow last week, and it's still been minus Celsius at nights, but finally it's getting a little warmer. That's good. And Nita says, it was a beautiful day on Saturday. Today cooler, but still nice. Yeah, today's actually nicer than it was yesterday.
Yesterday it was drab and dull and rainy.
And there was some rain, too.
And today it's been nice and clear and sunny and warm. Warm enough that I could go outside without a coat.
Yeah, and rake up the bunny poop in the backyard. But anyways, so... Oh, are you going to show them your shirt?
Well, I haven't finished putting on the buttons yet. Actually, I just started putting on the buttons.
Well, you can show them... Yeah, but last time you showed it, I don't think you had both sleeves done, did you?
No.
And the collar.
Yeah, the collar.
Walter's shirt is almost done. He's just got to put the buttons on it. And he's been doing that class, as you know, virtually as well, which has been an unusual experience. So it's looking pretty good, the shirt he's made. You'll see it here in just a second, once he finds it.
Okay. My sleeves are a little long.
So what, you're going to try to get into it? He actually, the sizing on this shirt, what, you said you made the large?
I've been having a medium lately, but it's...
Well, that pattern definitely was small because you haven't...
It's a batik pattern, so
it's kind of a bluey, gray, blacky kind of shirt, but it looks pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I just have to put buttons on it and I have to do the hem.
I think you may have made it slim fit.
Well, no, actually, it's not supposed to be.
No.
But it does fit.
Yeah.
So
are you going to make another one?
yeah, I plan to do it.
No. I think the next one you should be short sleeve.
I was thinking of
For me. Laura says she loves the pattern, and Mel says looks great. Bonnie says beautiful shirt, Walter. Oh, and he says, Stephen, my pre-wound bobbins arrived just a few minutes ago. I've got 72 all colors and some extra just white ones. And where'd you get those from, Anita? I don't remember if you said where you were ordering those bobbins from. Andy says, looks good. You two will never have to buy shirts again. Well, it's not a fast process, I can tell you that. Of course, mind you, since
actually,
we can't go to the stores.
It's fairly difficult. But actually, even though it took a long time, I think I'd like to try and make a few more because you can then choose your own fabric.
Yeah. Well, once you've made the first one's always the hardest
Yeah.
on anything. Once you've made one, then the second one should be easier and maybe a little faster, too. So Anita says it looks great. It's good. Oh, you got them from Amazon. So are they working okay in your machine? I'm assuming they are. Or have you tried them yet, Anita? I like the pre-wound bobbins, except I have been winding my own bobbins with that from Monfil.
No, she hasn't tried them out yet.
Oh, okay. But as I just got an order today from Monfil, and some of that was thread as well that I needed. But here's the ironic point of the whole thing. So, virtual quilting retreat this weekend. Started Saturday. Thursday, my sewing machine broke down again. Yes, the one I just took, my embroidery machine that I just got the embroidery unit fixed on. Well, the timing is off on it now, which means that the needle, when it comes down into the bobbin, just keeps going down into the bobbin. And I broke 2 needles in that before I figured it out. I tried to fix it myself, but
Actually, it kind of hits the bobbin, doesn't it?
yeah, it hits the bobbin. Well, it actually hits the stuff under the bobbin. Not the bobbin case, but the holder for the bobbin case below. So my local quilt store, of course, has been doing curbside, and they had scheduled another curbside for Saturday. So I wrote them up an email, and she said, yeah, just bring it in on Friday. She was going to be in the store all day for it. And so I took it in, and I could have got a loaner. She said I could have the one in the store, for when I said, no, don't want to take a chance. It isn't that I am rough on my machine. It is a very well used machine, as you know. Like, I use it all the time anymore. And but I'm very careful with it. I keep it well cleaned. I keep it well oiled. Everything. And yeah, what I think may have happened was I think the timing on it may have started to go just before I took it in for the last repair. And I never asked the guy. Well, I didn't think there was any problem with that. The problem was with my embroidery unit with the arm. So I never asked him to do any kind of general tune-up or cleaning on the machine at all. Just, look after the embroidery unit. And in fact, the owner of the quilting store said, when you had it in last time, didn't he look at that? And I says, no, I never asked him to. I never put that on my note. She said, oh. So I have a feeling that problem was caused by the other problem I had, because you can put the timing out on them. It's not something that happens a lot, but it can happen. And yeah, because of the nature of the other repair and what I had to have done, I could see how that could contribute to the problem. But anyways, it's in for repair, and hopefully I'll get it back by the end of this coming week. Meanwhile, I've been doing the whole retreat on my little machine, which is a good little workhorse. It'll do what I want it to do when it comes to doing quilts and stuff like that. I was tempted. I have been thinking about it, but I don't really need to about buying another sewing machine too. But that's really not my problem. But here's a word of advice if you're thinking about getting an embroidery machine or upgrading, your sewing machine to one that does embroidery as well. Don't. My advice after my experience, and although this is a really good machine, I recommend a separate embroidery machine. My machine embroiders and sews. I think it's one of those things, it's like you get too much happening in one device, you have more problems with it. I think it would be better to have a separate embroidery machine that all it does is embroider, and a separate sewing machine and all it does is sew. And if you're a quilter, and if you never have any desire to do garments or things like that, I would suggest you buy a straight stitch sewing machine for that, because that's all you need for quilting. You just need something that sews a straight line. That's it. And you can buy machines like that. And because the more buzzers and bells on them, the more problems you're going to have. That's what I'm learning now in hindsight. Andy says, bet the shirts you make will last longer than a shirt you buy from the store nowadays. Well,
maybe.
probably.
I don't know. At least you can choose your own fabric.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you go to the store, you might see a shirt that you like, but it's either not in your size, or it's it's usually not in your size, or it's a slim fit or something like that. Here, at least you can choose the fabric and then make it to whatever size you need it.
Yeah, so I suppose it's got the advantages. It's just the time. That's the only thing. I mean, he's been working on this shirt. Well, you haven't been working on
Well,
it every
no, I
day.
haven't really been working. Actually, I haven't worked on it that much, really. But I mean, it's taken a lot of time because we've been doing it as a class, and half the time you're spending trying to figure out what you're doing.
Yeah. So, like I said, the more of them you make, the better, the faster you get at them.
Yeah. I mean, I did all the buttonholes, no problem. But now I'm having a little bit of issue with the buttons. But
Bonnie says you can buy another machine now that you canceled your cruise. Yeah, we're coming to the discussion on that one in just a minute, so hold that thought. Bonnie says I've had embroidery sewing machines for years and I haven't had the issues you seem to be having.
how often do you use it?
I'm a power user. Okay, I am on that machine without a word of a lie. I'm probably on that machine every day, 7 days a week, 6 to 8 hours a day. I am a power user. I mean, you've seen the quilts that I make and how many I've made and everything. I mean, it is my major craft tool in there. And if I'm not sewing a quilt on it, I'm embroidering something. And yes, I do push it to its limits because I do that with everything that I own in machinery. But I am not careless with them either. But I should be a tester for electronic equipment because I will certainly put it through its paces. No two ways about it. Danna says I love my straight stitch machine. And Bonnie's had hers for 15 years or more and uses it daily. I have 2 embroidery sewing machines and use them daily. Well, Bonnie, you just do everything, don't you, dear? Oh, shut up. I mean that in the nicest way. You do get my sense of humor, don't you, Bonnie? No, I know. But you want to know something else? My father always said this. My last name is Bland, and he says all Blands are suckers. We always get taken in, and we always buy the lemon. We always buy the lemon. And you want to know something? My dad wasn't really wrong about that because I've bought a lot of lemons in my life. And, Walter and I could go out and buy the same thing exactly. He'd have no problems with it. I would have problems. So I think I'm jinxed. Nita says, I heard something this week I'd never heard before on washing fabric. For denim and linen, put in a can of Coca-Cola. It softens the fabric. Who knew?
Well, there is acidity.
Well, yeah, it's a bit of an acid base to it. So,
yeah,
I could see that. So anyways, that's the song and dance about my sewing machine, but I'm glad I have the other one, too. So what else? Okay, so we got a refund on our tickets to Stratford. If you don't know what Stratford is, Stratford Festival, it's a Shakespearean theater company that's been in existence for about 30 years here in Ontario. It's world famous. And they also do more than just Shakespeare these days. When they first opened many, many, many years ago, they just did strictly Shakespeare, but now they do everything. And the last couple of years, when it's been my birthday's in July, we usually make arrangements to go to where this theater is. We spend the weekend, usually been going quilt shopping, fabric shopping. Before that, it was scrapbooking supply shopping because the area we're going into has a lot of quilt stores in it and used to have a lot of scrapbooking stores too, but those have kind of died out over the years. And we stay for the weekend and, make a little vacation of the whole thing. So I got us tickets this year for Spam-A-Lot. They were doing Spam-A-Lot at one of their theaters. They have several theaters in this festival thing. And had the arrangements. I've got these tickets way back in the fall. And they weren't particularly cheap. It's almost $400 for 2 tickets. And, they've canceled the season. Well, yeah, knew they were going to do that. They canceled all the stuff that was happening in this month, in May. We had the tickets for July. But I figured it was, just a question of time before they'd cancel the whole thing out. And they did. So they were kind of sneaky with it too, though. They try to pretend that they're always strapped for money, that they depend upon ticket sales and they depend upon donations and memberships and things like that. And they didn't say anything about refunding your money. They said they would give you a credit for their next season, which would be in a year's time and that kind of thing. Or, this is the one that got my goat, you could donate what you spent on your tickets right now to them. No, not the kind of charity that I like. It's a charity to a point, but not a charity that's solving world hunger, okay? Or coming up with a cure for the virus or supporting food banks. You know, it's the arts. They get government grants where they can. Yeah, I know it's hard for them to get grants, and I know they depend on ticket sales and all that kind of stuff. But they're not a charity that, okay, if they collapse tomorrow, it's not going to make any difference in the state of the world at all. None. So I didn't like that. So I wrote to them and said, they said if you had any inquiries or questions, write to this email address. Their box office wasn't open right now because of, everybody being that. So it may take a few days for someone to get back to you for your inquiry. So I wrote, simple sentence. I go, hi, I'd like to have a refund on my ticket price, please. Here's my order number. Thank you. And I left them my phone number and email address. And I got an email back immediately, but was automated. It says, please give us, 5 to 7 days to get back to you because, we're understaffed because of the coronavirus or from the COVID virus thing, which is the standard stuff we hear now and everything like that. So I waited. And I figured someone's going to get on the phone to me and try to talk me into taking the credit or donating the money. They won't want to give me back the money. I was wrong. Got this woman on the phone. She apologized profusely for not getting back to me. Now, it was only a question of about 5 days, I think. And said, yeah, we don't keep credit cards, your number, in our records. So if you just give me that number, we will transfer the ticket price to you. Didn't try to sell me anything. Didn't try to get me to donate the money. Didn't give me a song and dance number. Nothing. Bang. And so I've got it back. So that was fast. Unlike the River Cruise Company. You tell it.
Well,
because you're the one dealing with it.
Yeah. I sent them a cancellation message, and I said I needed them to get back to me as to how much they were giving us back, and so that I could apply to the insurance company to get the rest of it back. And yeah, they sent me back a message on finally after 2 weeks on Friday that said yes, they would be giving us 50% back of our cruise, which was $95.65. And so now I got to put in a claim in the insurance and hope that they'll pay the rest of it back.
However, they said it was going to take, what, up to 8 weeks?
But it's going to take, they sent me the note. It said it would take them 8 weeks to give us the refund.
Which that part didn't surprise me because I've heard that, at least on the ocean cruise companies, they're taking 60 to 90 days to get money back to people.
No, they take 6 to 8 weeks to get back to people on the ocean cruises.
To get the money back.
Yeah.
They're telling people it's taking 60 to 90 days to expect a refund.
Oh, I heard it was 6 to 8 weeks.
Well, I heard 60 to 90.
Oh,
so
okay.
Whatever. Days.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know, whatever. I kind of get it's going to take them some while to process it because I'm sure we're not the only ones that are fighting with them. On the other hand, though, I also think that's a bit of a financial thing on their part because they're making interest on that money. It's a lot of money. They've had our money for quite a long time now. But anyways, it isn't the most ideal situation, but we're getting 50% of it back, and hopefully the insurance company said they would. So Walter has all this paperwork he has to do for them. They'll get, and the rest of it will get back from them. Of course, the one thing, and it's a principal thing that bugs me though, is they're still getting, for nothing, 50% of that. So they're getting almost $10,000 free from us. Yeah, we're getting our money back, but they're getting $10,000
Yeah.
Who now I don't know how the insurance will the insurance.
They're getting 95.65.
Yeah, okay, well it's almost 10,000. Okay, I stand to be corrected, and let's be Mr. Exact. This is worse than my brother-in-law. But that's a story for another day. Yeah, so
Yeah, for nothing like.
so now okay, so the insurance company is going to give us back that money. Does the insurance company go after them to try and reclaim something? How's that work?
I don't know.
Because basically they're getting free money.
Yeah.
So I don't know. As long as we get ours back, I don't care what they're doing with the rest of it. So we'll see.
I just won't be advocating for them in the future.
No, so we'll tell you right now, you do not want to book with Scenic Tours. They're the principal company that runs Emerald Tours. That was the name of the river cruise company, but they're run by Scenic Tours.
And they also run a tour company called Evergreen.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend any of them.
In fact, and one of the things that I was going to go over a little bit later on for future discussion, and one of those is about how the world will change. I know how the travel industry is going to change. I've said to Walter now, I said, it's not worth trying to put money up front. Don't buy into these companies that say they want the money by a certain date. That's
too far in advance.
Too far in advance, because that's how you get screwed. And yeah, I'd always make sure you check. We already knew what the cancellation policy was.
I won't ever book anything again where I have to put money up front like that. If we were to ever go on a river cruise in the future, we would book something last minute. I'm not booking anything way in advance.
I am very tainted about
however
travel right now.
Right, a lot of the cruise companies were only giving you doing the same sort of thing that Emerald did, but the one that did stick out was Viking. They're the one that was giving 125% future cruise credit, or you'd get all your money back.
Yeah,
and that's the only one. So if we were ever going to take another one of those cruises, I would probably book with Viking.
Yeah,
because of that.
And that's what I said last week about the fact that I've established this Facebook page about consumer alerts and about, tracing or recording companies' behavior during this time of the virus business, because look at this. This is a prime example. Viking said they'd give you back all your money from it. We didn't consider booking. Well, we did consider, but they were pricier than what the Emerald was, a little bit more money.
I guess you get what you pay for.
Yeah, I guess so. But we weren't taking the slow boat to China thing here.
Yeah, actually, I did look at Viking. Viking was a little more expensive, and they had Emerald included all your gratuities, and Viking didn't. And Viking only offered one particular type tour at each stop, whereas Emerald had 2 tours at each stop.
Yeah.
And so we had known somebody that gone on a scenic, and I thought, well, they'd be okay to book with.
Yeah. So because they had good experience and everything.
But they didn't run into this problem.
No.
This is a unique problem, obviously.
And this is also a problem that, yes, we know this is a unique problem and everything, and we know all the problems it's presenting to businesses and that, but you can't help but think that some of these businesses are using this as an excuse to screw over their clientele.
But I looked at the cancellation policies of all the other companies too. Like there's Ammo Waterways, there's Avalon Waterways, there's Uniworld Waterways. All of them are only offering you future cruise credit. They're not offering you your money back. Only Viking's the one that's offering your money back.
Yeah, Anita says you could buy a lot of fabric for $400. Glad Yes, if I could find a place to buy it. Now I'm searching online for Canadian online fabric, like quilting stores and seeing what their prices are and their shippings and stuff like that, and what they have. And so far, some of the ones I've looked at, well, they've got pictures of their fabric and that. And I mean, it's difficult to pick fabric from just a picture. However, I'm not seeing a whole heck of a lot out there that I want to bother with, price-wise. But I'm still looking around because I'm going to start getting to the point where I need some fabric, especially to back some of the quilts. Like I've got 6 quilts, soon to have 7, hanging up downstairs that need to be quilted, and I need backing fabric for them.
Anita says, speaking of cruises, have you seen the confusion of health certificates and rules for passengers? I think all that right now is speculation.
That's all
everybody.
Smoke and mirrors.
And a lot of that is, if you watch some of these cruise advice things on YouTube, are a lot of these people that are travel agents that are
it's
showing these advice for cruises, and they're speculating on what's going to happen with the cruise industry going forward. I don't think the cruises are going to, like, there are people talking that cruises are going to start in July and August.
Nah, they're not.
And I really have my doubts that any of that stuff's going to happen, because basically they have to have a port that will accept them. And right now around the world, I can't see too many ports wanting to accept a huge cruise ship coming in with the possibility that there might be some sort of infections on board.
And these cruise YouTubes that we've been watching, they're starting to annoy me a lot, because they're travel agents, the ones that we watch. And they're basically trying to sell people on the idea that, okay, cruising's fine. They're giving false hope to people who want to cruise. And, you know, they're being salespeople for it. So I don't know who you believe in all of this.
I wouldn't be booking a cruise until it all goes back to normal again or anything. I wouldn't even consider it, because I wouldn't want to be stuck on a ship where a whole bunch of people are sick.
Well, I wouldn't be booking a cruise until we have a vaccine.
Yeah.
For this, or some kind of treatment or whatever that, you know, it's not going to be as bad as what we're going through right now, that kind of thing. But, you know, again, it's all business, and that's what we were going to talk about today too. And that is, I called it Open for Business or Death. Because, of course, around the world, especially here in North America, in both the United States and Canada, the governments are talking about slowly starting to reopen up the economy, open up businesses and things like that. My personal opinion is, as much as it would be nice, I think it's too soon. We don't have an effective treatment yet for this disease. And you know what's going to happen is, we've all been bottled up for 2 months. It's just going to open the floodgates. People are going to go out and they're going to say, well, of course, if the business is open, it must be okay. And so social distancing and all that stuff is going to get laxer. And we'll have a second wave. And they still predict we'll have a second wave. And we'll be in a worse situation. The worst cases right now are down in Georgia and Tennessee, but right here in our own country, on tomorrow, May the 4th, apparently, our government has decided that garden centers can be open, but they're going to be practicing the social distancing and have certain regulations in and all that kind of stuff, sort of like the way that they do it with grocery stores, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But you start opening up a garden center, and a garden center is not an essential business by their definition of it. You know, yeah, it would be nice to be able to plant your garden, right? If you're into that kind of thing. I'm into concrete, so to me, I don't care. But is it worth, you know, your life?
Yeah, but then on the other hand, see, you're assuming that the goal is to have 0 infections. That's not what the governments want. They want infections controlled at a point where it doesn't overwhelm the health system.
True. But do you want to be one of the ones going into the healthcare system?
No, I don't want to be one of the ones.
So, you know, and what I'm saying too is, okay, so you start gradually opening up businesses. But as soon as you open like the garden centers, then people are going to go, like other businesses go, well, wait. Flowers, plants, essential? What about hairdressers? What about nail salons? Then they're going to say, if they start opening those up, what about restaurants? And it's going to snowball.
Anita says, here in Ohio, our numbers and cases are going up every day. Yet we're opening up this month. Retail stores open May 12th, and manufacturing plants businesses open on Monday.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's as soon as you start to open one thing up, it's going to snowball. And I think that's where we're going to be in trouble. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a little cabin feverish here too. Now the weather's turning nice. And so people are now going to hit the parks and the beaches. Our parks, our beaches are all closed, but in other parts of Canada, they're closed too, but it doesn't seem to stop people, especially out in British Columbia. They've still been congregating out on the major beach in Vancouver. What are you going to do about that kind of thing? You still have protests in both the States and here in our country where people think their civil liberties have been taken advantage of and that they want things open up. And this is just going to add to all of that. I think we should have been shut down for another month completely. And then look at June. But a lot of these politicians, too, have been saying things like, and they were saying this way back in March. Well, first of all, it was the middle of April. Then it was the end of April. And then it was, more into the 1st of May. Well, you keep promising this and your clientele.
Yeah, you hang that carrot in front of your horse.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to make them do it. Laura says, I went for a drive this afternoon and was shocked by the number of people out walking. And our Loblaws garden center was packed. No social distancing that I saw. And Anita says, well, we have some real idiots with their guns protesting here in the States. I guess they're going to shoot the virus. Yeah. And Mel says, here they are also talking about opening business, but yet they don't know when. Schools will open in 2 weeks. Well, one thing is, the schools here, they haven't said that they won't be open before the end of the school year, which is the end of June. But they're saying they're not going to open them until, if they open them at all, it certainly won't be during the month of May. So, given at that point, one more month after that, they're not going to open them. They're closed. They're not. The kids aren't going back until September, if then. Hope they are able to go back in September. But, none of this is going to go away until we have a viable treatment for it. I mean, the one thing they're saying, too, is there has never been in history so many different companies, government agencies, scientists, and the whole bit around the world all working towards a cure or treatment for this. So that's sort of a positive thing. But after a while, then there's people who are just going out and saying, well, look, my chances of having, if I get it, I'll have antibodies. And I won't be able to get it again. Well, they don't know that for sure. That's usually how a virus works, but not necessarily all viruses work this way. And we don't know about this one.
Yeah, we're limiting. We're minimizing where we're going. So.
But then again, if we were a business owner, okay, you got to look at it from their point of view. Businesses are going out of business, and they're never coming back. I mean, in this country, we've had so much money pounded into helping out businesses and people and this kind of thing. For a country that supposedly was running a major deficit, where's this money coming from? Like
future taxes.
Yeah, that's the thing. In fact, our prime minister was asked earlier in the week about how are they going to recover all this money they've been giving out? And a reporter said directly, so that means you're going to put taxes up. Trudeau would not answer that. His answer to that was, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm paraphrasing. Right now, we're just concerned about finding, treatments for this disease and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, we all know the taxes are going to go up. And they're going to have to go up considerably.
Yeah, see, Mel says small businesses are tricky into big problems, but continues much longer. And even if they open up, if they're expected to do social distancing, some of the small businesses are literally small. How are they going to manage social distancing in a small space?
Like, I feel for them. I don't feel for the corporations. I don't feel for Walmart. I don't feel for Loblaws, Shoppers Drug Mart, any of the major box stores and stuff like that. Costco, Lowe's, Home Depot. I have no feelings for them whatsoever. They will suffer, but they will suffer by their standards. I mean, if your profits are up here and you're expecting to make more profits up there, and all you get is the profits here, you're still laughing. But the small mom and pops aren't making that kind of money. And they're going to go under. So the quilting stores, the crafting stores, you know, the small little independent franchises, things like that, that are there, they're going to suffer the brunt of this. So of course they want people to come into their stores, but they're on a fine line. I mean, do they want to be the store that starts another outbreak of this disease because they were lax on the social distancing? And I mean, they don't even have to be lax on that. Their clientele could be lax on that. And have nothing to do with the business. You know, they're standing in line, they're standing 6 feet apart. One guy comes, decides to saddle up next to his buddy. They're like, hi, how are you? And they're this far away and talk, and the guy goes, and it spreads through this little business or something. You know, I think it's too soon. Just backing up here. Laura says, my workplace has extended the work from home policy until June the 4th, which I think is smart. But there you go, the work at home. There's a lot of businesses where that can be done. But again, if you are a specialty type of thing, like if you're not a business that deals with electronic transferring of funds and purchases through that and that kind of stuff, where essentially you have to have personal contact with your customer base, you know, like a hairdresser, nail salon, that kind of thing. Those businesses will probably survive. And they're still able to keep their employees on the payroll because their business doesn't depend on, you know, actually having to be face-to-face with people to do business. So they'll survive. But the small little guys, I think about the woman who runs the quilt store we go to all the time. I'm thinking about my friend who has the scrapbooking store. They're the ones that are going to suffer majorly from this. I'm happy as a clam right here in my own home. You know, and that's the other thing too. We're lucky because we're retired. And we have pensions. And our pensions have not been touched. They come in. We have money. In fact, right now, financially, we're not doing bad because I can't run out and buy fabric. So I'm saving a lot of money right now. In fact, I just realized how much I knew I was spending a lot, but boy, this since being, you know, stuck in the house and no businesses to go to, I've spent a lot of money on fabric. A lot. So we're lucky. But other people aren't in that same situation. So I feel for them too, but you know, do you want them to die? Really? So then it talks about what I've already mentioned this, like what businesses should open right now. We were talking to the neighbors, not right next to them, but we have a balcony, you know, a deck off our house, and they have one off their house. And so we were out barbecuing yesterday. And when I say we, I mean Walter was barbecuing. And so we were talking to them across the deck. We're way far away, you know, like from that, so it was safe. And they said, you know, asked us what was on the barbecue, and Walter said that's just hamburgers. And they go, oh, they were ordering hamburgers from a local establishment. We haven't done that yet. We haven't tried to order food because they said they want to support, you know, it's a small little business and they like it and they want to support it. And it's curbside delivery or however that works with it. We haven't done that yet. I'm still a little iffy about, you know, when they deliver the food, people handling the food. I don't know. You don't know what anymore with that. So that means, you know, like what was I saying here? So which businesses should open now? I don't think garden centers should be the ones to start it. But
no, I don't see how garden centers are that bad of a business because a lot of the times they're open air, and as long as it doesn't get so packed in there, then.
Well, that's the thing. But that's what I'm thinking of. It will get packed. Well, because this is the time of year for us where we live that people buy their plants, start buying their plants and putting in their gardens, and it's, you know, under normal circumstances, those places are packed and busy. So I don't know. It's hard to say with it all. So but when this is all over with, okay, let's go way down the road. When this is all over with, What's it going to look like to go out shopping? I think it's going to be totally different from what we've ever been used to before. I don't think anything is going to return to the normal way. Well, first of all, they're talking right now of making, the plexiglass barriers in grocery stores and in other businesses where they have to, come close to a client. Those will be a permanent structure and will be part of the architecture of stores. I don't think that's a bad idea. Not just for coronavirus. I think of other things. I mean, how many times have you stood in a grocery store lineup and you've gone up and the cashier is coughing up a storm in normal times or whatever? Or there's somebody in the line who, is up with the cashier and they're coughing all over her or him.
I think
too.
less businesses will accept cash.
I think that'll be something too, because I have not been to a bank since we've been closed in. I do an awful lot of my transactions electronically anyways. Canada is one of the leading countries in the world for doing electronic transfer. However, I still had cash. Well, now I think everything's going to be electronic because you don't want to touch the money kind of a thing. And store clerks, they don't want to touch the money because without gloves. And I think that's another thing. There's going to be a lot of store personnel who it'll be mandatory for them to wear gloves. I think we're going to become a very sterile society, which I don't think is bad. Now they're talking about the mask wearing and everything, and that I guess that's part of the plan too. They're talking about that. I don't think our government has done anything about that completely, but in some countries, I think they're making it mandatory. If you go out, and go to a store or something, you have to have a mask. Well, the verdict is still out whether or not cotton masks that people are making right now are really having any major effect on anything. And there's all kinds of debate about that one way or the other. So does that mean there's going to become a new market for the type of masks they use in hospitals, but they can't seem to keep up with the load they need now? Of course,
We'll probably have more people manufacturing them.
Yeah, so we'll all be walking around. It'll look like when we went to Beijing. And that was before coronavirus, many years before. And many of the Chinese in Beijing, well, one of the problems is the air pollution in Beijing, but they're all wearing face masks, a lot of them. And it's spooky when you walk into that kind of environment. But I suppose if that's going to be the norm, we'll all get used to it and won't think twice. Someone doesn't have a mask on, we'll all be going screeching like body snatchers. Ah! No mask! Ah! I don't know. It's going to be a brave new world, I think. And I don't know. I think a lot of us are going to be a little bit shy about getting too close to people for the first little while when we can, because you're not going to know. This is going to take a long time.
Actually, Mel, I haven't used cash in a long time. I use plastic for everything.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Mel here. I don't like the idea where plastic's the only way for paying. Yeah, I'm the kind that way too, or was. But you want to know something? I think I'm getting over that. But that also presents a problem. I mean,
the only problem with that is power
security.
ever goes down. You can't pay for anything.
And we've seen that happen in regular times. Like it happened.
Power or the internet or something like that goes down. They can't accept plastic. They can't accept interact or internet payments.
No, so that's not going to be good. And I was also thinking of the number of online crooks that we have now.
Yeah.
Someone gets in and hacks the system or hacks your credit card, and it happens all the time.
I've had mine compromised before.
Yeah, well, I've been compromised several times before. For no fault on my part, but you hear about that on a regular basis. So I guess they're going to have to work on a system that can't be hacked, but that's probably impossible because where there's a will, there's a way. There's always somebody out there willing to see if they can beat the system. So I don't know. I'm just catching up here. Mel said earlier, Here it's a little easier as our population is only 5.5 million. Very different situation in countries like US or Canada, etc., with much bigger population where cities have more people than our country. Yep, that's true. Um, Mel says, I spent much more when paying with cards, so I like to pay with cash. Saves money. Of course, now using cards as long as Corona's around. Yeah, well, that's the thing. You're going to have to develop a new idea towards using credit cards because it is more tempting when you're using plastic, when you don't have the physical cash in your hand to see exactly how much you got to buy something a little extra. And that, I know I did that many years ago when I first got my first credit cards. And that got me into a lot of trouble. Well, I've learned from that. So, but it's still very tempting, you know. And of course, you get advertisements all the time on the internet for places you frequently go to saying, this is on sale. And you go, ooh. Or Amazon suggests. That's a good one. You know, you go onto your Amazon account, you're looking for something, and over on the sidebar, they're showing you other things that you might be interested in. And their algorithms know exactly what I'm interested in. So, yeah, devil, get behind me kind of a thing. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be a different world if we ever come out of this at some point or other. He also says, I never use credit, only debit. Don't want to spend money that I don't have, only spending what I have. Yep, that's the philosophy that I have, too.
I don't know. I use credit and debit, but I never try to spend more than what I have anyway.
No.
So.
Well, that's why we don't
I use credit for convenience.
Well, we don't have any debts because of that. That's the philosophy.
I know the banks hate me.
Oh, yeah.
They think I'm a lech or something like that because I pay off my credit cards in full every month. So.
Well, you tried to get a new credit card from one that you...
Yeah, they didn't want to give me a new credit card because of the fact that I pay off my accounts all the time.
Yeah. So you see that see the banking system wants you to be in debt too. They make more money off you if you're in debt to them.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And that's another thing with this whole situation right now with opening up businesses. People are already going into debt just to survive. In some cases, a lot of people live from paycheck to paycheck. And if they've lost their job, and even with the government, programs to help them, it's not enough. Now, mind you, many of those people have purposely it's their own fault they're in the situation they are in. Because, I mean, do you need 2 or 3 cars? Do you need a 4,000 square foot house for 3 people? No. But in this day and age, that seems to be the thing people want. But they could live without it. So maybe this will teach people too. Maybe a lot of people will learn that, hey, I can do with less. Of course, I'm not a good one to go on with that because I don't have any debts. So, like I said, we're in this small majority.
Yeah, I know. You get phone
lucky.
calls every once in a while with the bank that try to say, oh, well, you can get, you
can get like $300,000 right now on demand.
What do you call it? They're trying to sell you insurance for if you,
lose your job.
Lose your job or all that other
to
stuff.
Pay your debts.
To pay your debts off. And then I say, well, I don't have any debts. I don't have any balances on my credit cards. And then they don't know what to say to you.
No, because you hear their drop on the other end of the line because most people they're talking to have debts. Because that's just the nature of the beast in this world. I don't think it's a good situation, but whatever. Well, anyways, we'll see what happens when they open these businesses, but I hope people are smart about this, how they do business. I hope the businesses that do open up are very cautious, and I hope our government
it's like
stays cautious.
Like us and stuff like that, we'll probably not run out and go shopping all over the place type of thing. But there are a lot of people that do that.
Yeah.
And that's the people that are the problem. Like friends of my sister's that they're both immune compromised, and they go off to Costco every week or whatever just to look around.
Yeah. See, that's the problem. And I think what's really going to be a problem is when they start opening up restaurants again. Because people have been stuck indoors and a lot of people actually eat out a lot or get a lot of takeout and that kind of thing. Nobody seems to cook anymore. Now they've been stuck in their homes having to cook. And yes, a lot of people have been making bread. And that's been a novelty because they may never have done it before, or it's not something they usually do. But that novelty is going to start to wear thin really quick. Walter's been making a lot of bread. His latest is his cheesy bread. Used a new type of cheese this time. Oh, and the benefits of shredding your own cheese. Walter's been shredding his own cheese. Okay, we usually buy shredded cheese in the bag, that kind of thing.
Well, no, I had a block of cheese, and we had some little bits of cheese, and I decided to shred it.
So we got a lot of shredded cheese now because we had some blocks of cheese that were sitting in the freezer. And you know what happens with cheese when you freeze it? When you take it out, it all crumbles, right? So we have shredded cheese, and it's cheaper. You can get a lot of shredded cheese, from doing it from your own blocks of cheese as opposed to buying the prepackaged shredded cheese. Just another one of those economy ideas. So make your own bread, shred your own cheese. When are we going to start making our own toilet paper? Get out those leaves and twigs, do things like that. Laura says, don't cut the cheese, shred it. And Anita says, they haven't figured out what dead actually means. Yeah, I guess not. That's true. I'm assuming you're meaning the politicians. Well, to play devil's advocate for a moment, politicians are under a lot of pressure. I mean, it is a job, and they chose that job, and they want to keep the most number of people in their constituency happy. Because if they're happy, they'll get put back into power again in the next election. If they're not happy, people may remember and not put them in, and they'll lose their cushy little job like that. And we've talked about this before, we all know politicians aren't in the business because they really want to help people. The only people they want to help are themselves. So, they don't want to have bad PR. So they got to appease the people somehow. Well, it's kind of a fine line because they're kind of damned if they do and they're kind of damned if they don't, aren't they? I mean, they open up things too quickly and everybody gets the second wave and you have a whole the death rate goes up and everything like that in the cases. Then people are going to be looking for someone to blame, and people do not like to blame themselves for their actions. They always look for a scapegoat, and what's one of the major scapegoats in our society? Politicians.
Yeah, and then if they don't open stuff up, then the businesses all suffer, and the economy suffers.
Yeah.
And
so
you're damned if you do, if you're
that's
damned
what I
if
mean.
you don't.
So, I mean, I almost feel sorry for them. Almost. Because they're politicians. I mean, big deal. Too bad. So sad for politicians. Oh, Nisa says, no, I mean people in general, the ones running around like this is nothing. Yeah, yahoos, as our prime minister or our provincial premier called them.
Yeah, I like it. Well, see, I think the other thing is that right now, if you put it, right now there isn't a personal loss or whatever. Depends on if you know somebody that has had COVID and you know somebody that's died from it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people haven't known anybody that have died from it. So so then they figure that, well, why is everybody getting upset?
Yeah.
Nobody gets it. Only a few people get it.
But there are also the conspiracy theory people out there who believe that the governments are telling us big lies. It's not as bad as it is, and blah blah blah. And then there's the other ones who think they know everything about medical science and that. So I get a little sick. I'm not in the high risk group because I'm only 40 years old or something like that. It'll be just like getting a bad cold or something, and I'll get over that, and I'll go on and I'll be immune to it. La di da. That's why they keep trying to put out information that's accurate. But then when you've got a few politicians, and his name will go unmentioned, Trump, turning around, like inject me with Lysol, it's great. Yeah. And then what I heard on the news last week or something, earlier in the week, that there was all these cases in New York City of people in the hospital emergency because that's exactly what they did. They drank Lysol or stuff like that. Like, people are stupid. Let's face it, really, the vast majority of people on this planet are kind of stupid. So, I don't know. Mel says unemployment numbers will be huge after the oh yeah, the world. This isn't going to be, even once we get a handle on the virus, it's all the other spin-offs from it that are going to, which in some ways, I hate to say it, could end up being worse in some ways, you know. So anyways, that's all fun and games. So time to just say goodbye, but I was trying to do some brainstorming for some topics, you know, because I mean, we can talk for days and days about the coronavirus thing, and all it does is gets us sad and, you know, our knickers in a knot over the whole thing because we don't know what to do about any of it. So I was looking for other topics. Of course, some of them were like COVID, like talking about what travel will look like after COVID.
I think that's hard to say.
I know, but we can speculate. These are speculates. We're not giving definitive answers here, because if we had definitive answers, we'd be rich. Looking at finances, like personal finances, as well as, you know, the bigger economic picture. We could talk about, I could do a personal quilt show. We could do a personal stained glass show.
Yeah.
I even thought of going through some of my old scrapbooks and looking at happier times and memories. But those are all more personal kind of things, you know, might bore everybody to tears. So I don't know. So we're open to suggestions, people. And I've said this before, but come on, give me something. Work with me, people. We're looking for stuff to talk about. Andy says, that's why I prefer horses and dogs to people. Nita says, in the meantime, I'm going to start sewing and I'm working on watercolor paintings. Ooh, you know, I've asked for this before, you know, there's a lot of creative people on here. Send me pictures of things you've worked on. We can have, you know, I can't do it when we're live. I can't, no, I might be able to figure out a way. I don't know. But, you know, you could share some of other people's creative talents. That might be fun. Laura says, stained glass and quilt show. Yes. Okay. Andy's working on sketching and watercolor too. Yeah. So anyways, think about topics, things that would, you know, you'd like to discuss, talk about with us, and for the whole group, and send them to me, email, or put them in the comments below. That would be a great help, really. It's either that or you're just going to have to listen to us again, babble on about whatever. So, you know, maybe you like that. Maybe you don't. Okay, I think that's it for today. I got to get back to my sewing retreat because I've got a Zoom meeting in half an hour on that one. So, everybody, again, have a good week.
Yeah.
Stay safe. Stay sane.
Yeah. Stay safe.
Just stay. We'll see you all next week.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.